So some of the laws in the Old Testament no longer apply to those of us who are followers of Jesus, those who consider themselves to be Christians. And the reason for that is is a number of reasons, but one of them is because a lot of the laws in the Old Testament are to do with separating Israel from the people around them. So they would eat differently. They wouldn't eat pigs and things like that. They would eat, we've been through all the stuff about what foods are clean and what foods are unclean. And you get a couple of hints of that in some of the laws we read today as well. The weird ones about, you can't plant two types of seed in the same ground. And you can't wear a piece of clothing that's got two different types of material woven together. And a lot of what that's getting at is that it's almost a symbolic thing about you're to be seen to be set apart and seen to be different. So we're going to separate you. So look, it's like you don't mix two seeds in the same field. In the same way, the people of Israel, are to be separated from the people that are not Yahweh's people, the God of the Old Testament. They're not my people. And in the New Testament, that distinction between Jew and Gentile, non-Jews, is removed. When Jesus comes, he comes to bring everyone together into the one family of God. So these things about food laws and about some of the other things that symbolically marked Israel as separate and not mixing are removed. They're null and void for us. We don't have to follow those. The other thing about the laws is, although there are these things that, of course, we don't follow them today, things like the seed laws, we still see something of God's heart in them, and we still see some of the things that he values. And we can sometimes relate to the law as if it's a terrible, terrible thing. But actually, if you think about what it must have been like to live in this society, apart from the fact that you couldn't buy T-shirts from certain places because of the mixed fabrics, it would have been good news in a way. So some of the stuff that I thought is like, this is a society, if they live this stuff out, where they really care for the poor, where they really look after the elderly. Are we doing that in our society today? Where they have Sabbaths, they make it a priority to take time out and to stop working. Where they protect foreigners. Often foreigners in that time were really kind of vulnerable to being taken advantage of. Much like today, they protect foreigners, where it's a culture where they're honest, it's a culture where they love their neighbour as themselves. Those are good things. That's like good news. The reason I think that I instinctively react sometimes when I read the law and I don't like it is probably because of some of the harshness of the punishments that are laid out. So if we move on to chapter 20, you get the death penalty for quite a few things. And what is that about? Again, with that, it's remembering we don't live under this law anymore. It doesn't apply in the same way, firstly. Secondly, it's remembering that these penalties, the death penalty, was the maximum thing, and actually more often than not that wouldn't be imposed. And thirdly, it's remembering that this, for all that we don't like the notion of the death penalty, I'm not defending it, but it shows you again what God seems to really value, and the things that he considers to be very important. And it's worth us paying attention to those. And in the second half of this reading today, we see that God really values worship and he really values family. Both of those things are really important. So for us, it's worth us considering, how are we worshipping him with pure hearts, and how are we caring for our families today?